We are going to have a great session today, starting the kickoff event for Organic Week 2021. My name is Tia Lofsgaard, and I'm the Executive Director of the Canada Organic Trade Association. We are leading on the organizing of all Organic Week activities across the country, co-organized by our partner Canadian Organic Growers. And we have partnerships as well with each one of the provincial organic associations across the country. So you will see all sorts of activities happening in this next week from September 13th straight through until next Sunday, the 19th. And it's an exciting time. This is our 13th year of doing it. And we thought, what better way to kick it off with all the good news of how the numbers are going up and on every front, not just on sales wise, but also in regards to consumer awareness and trust of the Canada Organic brand. So just to highlight that Organic Week is our national campaign that we are put together a multitude of different activities. We're in the Globe and Mail last week on Friday in the Report on Business. We've got a partnership with Alive Magazine, with Vista Magazine, Vitalité in Quebec, and Canada Food and Drink Magazine and Next Magazine. We've got Google ads going on all over the place. We've got billboards happening in Toronto. And all of this would not be possible without the donors, of course, that are supporting it. So just a big shout out to our major donors, which are Seeds of Change, Savour, which is also United Natural Foods, Unify's brand, Lancet and Yorkshire Valley Farms, and of course, to all the additional national supporters that are promoting and participating. And let's not forget all the amazing retailers that are out there putting out the different point of sale materials, promoting the organic products that they are selling in their stores during this month, and really just kind of making a splash. We've sent out hundreds of the different retailer kits across the country. And I think it's really important just to acknowledge that this is a partnership. We want everybody involved. And this is our opportunity to continue to inform consumers and work together as industry to keep moving that needle forward for organic. So a big shout out and thanks to everybody who has gotten us successfully to our 13th year of Organic Week. And I cannot go on without letting you know that we have events going on every single day. We launched this morning viewing for The Seeds of Vandana Shiva. It's an excellent film. If you haven't seen it, please go get your free password. You do have to register for all of these different events. The link will be put in the chat so that you will have a one-stop shop of where you can sign up for all these different events. Obviously, you are participating today in our organic market update. Tomorrow, we have a panel on regenerative agriculture with 4 star-studded speakers. We will be doing a soil health webinar with Hugh Martin, the infamous Hugh Martin, who helps lead on all the organic standards work that we do.
Sorry to interrupt. We can't see your screen.
Oh, you cannot.
Thanks so much.
I'm glad you interrupted then. So let's just get back in there. I don't know what happened. Let's go again. Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yep, it's just not in presenter mode.
Okay, there we go. Let me
Excellent.
just go back one slide then, because I think it's important for us to acknowledge all the sponsors. If you couldn't see all the amazing sponsors that we've got, I mentioned 4 of them up top, but there are many other companies that have come in as sponsors of the program, and I want to make sure that they're acknowledged. So just to keep going on the different events that we've got going on, we've got, in addition to the soil health webinar that is happening on the 15th, we will be presenting the results of the large industry organic survey that we did back. I think you guys will remember it was for about 2 months, we left open the survey, and this was a collaboration between Organic Federation of Canada, Canadian Organic Growers, and CODA, where we wanted to capture what was industry's perspectives on where we're at and what the priorities are moving forward. Also, there was a consumer survey that was part of that. We will be presenting all of the key highlights of that together with Organic Federation of Canada on September 16th. And then we've got Patty Doherty, who many of you know, who's a pioneer of the system, and he was our former chair of the Organic Value Chain Roundtable. we thought we can't let Patty get away and just keep farming and not participate in all of our exciting activities. So we've got Patty as our organic expert leading on his opinion on 10 different questions that we've got for our hashtag organic chat, which will be featured on Facebook Live, 2 p.m. on the 17th. And we encourage everybody to get online with us and participate at that time. We are asking Patty the questions, but we're asking you as industry and consumers as well to come along on that journey. So please tune in and register. And then we've got Kelly Monahan, who is going to be doing a basics of organic. What is the Organic 101? And that's to really help some of our consumers who might not know all the ins and outs of how the system works, and just to kind of get to know, what are the standards, how does the regulatory system work, and the inspection side of things, as well as labeling. And then finally, we have an excellent recording with Chef Brad Long, who is going to be giving us tips and tricks and why he, as a food service provider in Toronto, is really excited about organic and continues to support it with the work that they do. So moving forward, let's see if I can get that to go. Okay, so we have been working since January in regards to hitting this end result, which is in my hands, thankfully, today, the Canadian Organic Market Report. Anybody who works in organic knows that it is hard to get data on organic, and we were successful in writing a grant and getting partial funding for us to be able to purchase some critical data in order to come up with this comprehensive report. And we do actually have funding now for the next 2 years to repeat this. So I'm really excited that we'll be able to have 3 years of year-on-year data to be able to follow up our 2021 report. Just to highlight that we do have this available now on our Shopify store. Today, I'll be giving you quick highlights, but there's a lot of detail that I'm not going to go into because we do not have the time. But we do have the pricing, of course, on the Shopify site, that there's a discount, of course, for Coda members. You can get a single report, which is one one physical copy mailed out to you, or you could get the corporate package, which includes a physical plus a digital copy that can be shared within your organization with a password protected code. And then we also have the non-member pricing as well. So please check it out. We will be going into all sorts of the concept of what's inside that report for the remainder of the presentation. And just to highlight the methodology that was used in the report, it was comprehensive, I would say. We had to purchase a lot of data from not only Nielsen, and the Nielsen data, of course, is limited to what is available on food data, food and beverages. Then we also purchased consumer data from Legere 360, a reputable firm based out of Montreal. We have statistics from Statistics Canada, some market intelligence reports from Agriculture Canada. And then we did a lot of interviews and data gathering from industry to extrapolate sales information when it comes to the retail channels, as well as the non-food sector results, where it was more difficult to get the sales results directly from Nielsen's. And just to highlight that, we thank everybody that participated in this. We know it's sometimes sensitive to give out your own sales data or to talk about growth rates within your own business, but it's the only way that we can actually get this summarized data and give some insights back out to the sector on the growth of different non-food categories. So thanks very much for that. We will be focusing, the data report actually focuses on a lot on consumer data. So it gets into the demographics of the organic buyers. Where are they buying? Why are they buying? The effects of COVID, we have a whole COVID call out section. And then to get into the many different regional differences in regards to consumers. Then we delve into the sales data, and this is where I would say the bulk of the report is focused on, where we get into detailed food category sales. And it is extremely detailed. And where we had data going back to 2012, we've got the whole trajectory of how different categories have grown over time. We've got estimates on non-food sales. So that is everything from pet food to cosmetics to supplements to textiles and other non-food categories. And then the market share of each one of these and where it's at right now compared to a year ago, and the growth rates. And in regards to trade data, anybody who knows me, I'm always complaining that there's never enough trade data. So we are limited in regards to what is available through the HS codes, the harmonized sales codes from the Government of Canada. But we do give a nice breakdown and a good analysis of the import sales coming into Canada, as well as the export sales based on the limited HS code data that we have. So let's get into it. I think that this is what people always want to know is where are consumers at, and is the trajectory staying the same? In regards to the main categories, things have not changed. Fruit and veg, it seems in the last 3 years that we've been doing some of these studies, it's always fruit and veg that are the number one purchasing category, followed by meat and poultry, then dairy, bread and grains, snacks and packaged canned foods, and then other beverages. And I thought that this number may have changed from prior years, but still 2/3 of Canadians, 66%, are buying organic weekly. Now, keep in mind, we did this study in the middle of COVID, and we weren't sure if numbers would go up or down. And of course, we were pleased to see that they were steady. There is some distinctions that we noticed in the full report. You will see that according to income category, things did alter from the way they were in the past, where we're seeing people with lesser incomes did start to buy a little bit less organic, but not substantial. So you can delve into all that in the full report. But just to highlight that a lot of people think that organic consumers are vegetarians or vegans, or they might have a religious reason for purchasing the way that they do. And so the study does go into that 22% of Canadian organic shoppers do report a dietary restriction or a dietary regime, whether that's an allergy to a pesticide or what have you, or a filler that's used as a preservative. So this is the really interesting thing, is that 23% of Canadians have reported that they're buying more organic than they did the year before. So we did this study in 2020 at the tail end of it. Well, more like, it was the tail end. And so we essentially were quite excited to see that people were more committed to organic and buying more as they were in the middle of a health pandemic. And that the number has grown hugely in regards to the amount of Canadians that are trusting the organic logo. In 2016, when we first studied this, of course, the logo was only a couple years old since it just launched in 2009. The trust rate was at 36%. It's now at 54%. So, more Canadian consumers are getting to know what that logo is. I think everybody is doing their job and trying to message exactly what this logo stands for. And then we always wanted to test, do they understand what it stands for? And so the number one reason, and it continues to be year over year, is that it's free from the use of pesticides, that it's non-GMO, non-genetically engineered, and that it represents strong standards, that it has good animal welfare, that's good for the environment, and it's more tasty and healthy. And I've listed it in the order in which the consumers have ranked it as their strongest associations with the Canada Organic logo. Moving on, we have, of course, new sales numbers to present. So earlier in the year, we have to round up our global data, and we have to send it over to IFOAM International for their organic market report, the global report. And at that time, we didn't actually have the Nielsen data, and we hadn't gone into it. So we had used prior year's growth rates of 8.7%. It was an estimation. And at that point, we reported 2020 sales were at 6.38. Now that we've bought the data, we've done all the rest of the calculated estimations, we have landed at 8.138 billion. So quite a substantial jump from our assumption of using the annual compound growth rate. And you can see that it's up 14.9%, whereas our first initial estimation was 8.7%. So it is growing, growing, growing. And this number is based off of all organic sales. So this includes the regulated and the non-regulated product categories, such as cosmetics and pet food, and anything outside of food and beverage. So this is the comprehensive number. But moving on, you can see that 80% of the actual sales that are happening within organic, which is the regulated food system, are food and beverage. And that is valued at 6.519 billion. And I looked at, how much has this grown since we did the last Nielsen stats, and it's 33% higher than it was since 2017 on just the food and beverage category. And it's also really important for us to start looking at the market share, like how high are we going? And this is based off of just the Nielsen data, so concrete, hard data, just on food and bev. And we were at 1.7 in 2012. We went up to 2.6 in 2017, and now we're at 3.3%. So you can see that it's on a beautiful trajectory. Moving on into the non-food categories, we do our best with industry insights and feedback and what data we can collect from our different members and our different industry players. We have been able to come up with some numbers in regards to quantifying the alcohol beverages, organic fibers and textiles, etc., that are being sold in Canada. And I won't get into the numbers, but just to look at the market share of alcohol is actually quite high. It's 5.3% in regards to the overall marketplace. Organic fiber and textiles are 2.5%. And that the non-food segment is growing at a healthy rate as well. It's not as high as food at 14.9%, but it is growing at 10.2%. To get into pet food is at 0.2% market share. Supplements, which we see a lot of out there, is 2.4% market share. Personal care products, so this could be anything from cosmetics to lotions to shampoos, etc., 1.5%. And then household goods is 0.2%. So it's exciting to see that we've got growth pretty much in every category, and clearly, consumption is driving the industry to continue to provide awesome products. So now I just want to give you a highlight of what you can get into. If you're looking for data for yourself or for your company, there is all sorts of regional highlights that you can attain coming out of this report. So I'm just delving in on sort of a couple different areas. On the top 10 packaged products, we looked at it, and Ontario is deemed the largest marketplace at 675 million. Yet the highest market share is British Columbia. And I always found it interesting to look at the regional distinctions in regards to what is the top 10. So I've listed them in order from, milk on Ontario being the first and salty snacks being the 10th highest ranked. And when you look at that, you can start to see, well, Quebec is actually selling only half of what Ontario is, despite the population being similar. And it seems like they have a preference more for some plant-based alternatives, because soy, rice, and alternative beverages are #1 seller versus milk in Ontario. So there are some really excellent insights that you can get into, because we do list every single product category in detail within the report. Well, they always say fresh fruit and veg are the #1 selling items. So I thought, let's delve in and let's get a sense of whether this is an area that is going to continue to grow since we started doing this research in 2012. And you can see that the organic fruit market share has nearly doubled. It was 3.4% in 2012, and it's gone up to 6.1% market share. So that's huge. And why has it grown? Because the growth rate has doubled from 6% to 14%. Now, when you compare that to conventional growth rates, conventional is only growing at 6%. So you can see that organic is starting to really take off. What is the #1 product category? It's bananas. And I'm sure many of the banana companies out there could attest to this. It's 76 million annually spent on it, and it's growing much faster than conventional sales. And the 6th largest product is lemons, which had a huge growth rate, which is why I picked it out of the data, that 34% growth rate, growing at double the rate than conventional is. So we're seeing, lots of interesting insights coming out of this report, and we'll move on to the vegetable section. Vegetables are valued at 377 million. And of course, they have grown from 2.6% market share to 5.9% between 2012 and 2020, which definitely is it's twice as much, and consider that this has happened during a pandemic. So this is pretty amazing to see that people are choosing to buy organic. We always know that organic is a values choice and that people try to prioritize it as much as they can, but particularly with people being concerned about their immune system, I think that we've seen more and more people double down. They're not eating out as much, of course, in the last year, and I think that that it's reflected in the sales. Also, that this is a 25% growth rate on the overall vegetable category, which is double the rate of all conventional growth. So number one organic vegetable was shocking to me. It's mushrooms. It's 116 million and it's had a 54% growth rate. And the number three category is tomatoes at 42 million with a 31% growth rate. So you can see there's not many things that are declining on the fresh fruit and vegetable category at all. But I thought, let's delve into packaged products because there's a whole variety of, frozen items in here and, meat jerky and all sorts of things. And there's 12,500 packaged products that were part of our study. Every year we work with the distributors to try and figure out what are all the new products that are available so that we can get the UPC codes. So thank you so much to all of our participating distributors in Canada that have helped us collect those UPC codes and send them on to Nielsen. It's a big piece of work. You can see that with packaged products, we had a 13% growth in 1 year. That's 2020 figures over the 2019. And that it's 1.69 billion in overall sales and a 3.1 market share. So what were the top packaged products? I'm not surprised. Baby food. Baby food always comes up as one of the number one items because of course, children and their sensitivity to consuming pesticides under age 3. And then of course, next one is infant and toddler snacks at 45%, and then followed by infant cereal. So let's just say children are really pushing forward in regards to packaged products and their parents' concern for feeding them healthy options. And then it's followed by broadleaf vegetables at 23%. And of course, we've all felt it and seen it, the growth in alternative beverages at 21%, and then dried fruit. So that's an interesting one. Let's delve in of the other ways that you can kind of slice and look at the different types of data that we've got going on. So we looked at what are all the different snacks in the different snack category. And we were able to figure out that overall category is about 44 million and that there's a 19% growth in snack category sales. And of course, you can see that in relation to non-organic, it's small, but it is growing and growing, where we saw a 29% growth rate in chocolate, 8% in cookies, 29% in snacking fruits and nuts. But where we did see a huge decline was just in candies. And that would just be like, different organic sort of gummy bears or different types of candied food. So that's the only place so far that we've really seen some decline in the category. And then just to highlight that if you want to go further and delve into the report, you can really look for what are the top markets for those snacks. And Ontario's number 1, British Columbia is number 2, number 3 is Quebec and Alberta. But you can see that when it comes to the category, chocolate and fruit, nut, and seed are actually selling at the exact same level. So if you're considering going into different new products, that is something to take into consideration, that they're actually selling at the same sales level. And of course, that it's exciting to see that Ontario is consuming as much volume as Quebec and British Columbia combined. So if you're looking at where you're going to dedicate your sales energy, Ontario really likes their snacks. So people should take note of that. Let's go into, we've got some key highlights in regards to meat, poultry, and seafood. And this is exciting to finally include seafood because it came into the organic regulations as fully enforced just in the last year. So the first, well, it was 2020. So it's the first year that we could have full year data on it. So the meat, poultry, and seafood is worth 71.3 million. And this is data that we've been able to track from 2017 to 2020 with the disclaimer that we did not have organic seafood in there up until 2020. It's a 2% growth in value just in that 1 year. And it's a 0.7% meat market share in the overall meat category. The top products being sold, number 1 is chicken, number 2 is beef, and then number 3 is seafood. So good thing we got that regulated. And it'll be exciting to see how that continues to grow as we move forward. Then getting into the international trade side of things, we are seeing growth both on imports and on exports. It looks to us like the import number is higher than the export numbers, but I put the disclaimer right here is that we are tracking 65 imported products and we are only tracking 14 exports. So even though the number looks bigger, and it is bigger, it's because we're not tracking all of our exports at the same rate as the imports. But the imports have grown 5.5% growth rate over 2019, which is interesting to see. And then we've got the exports have grown at 32%. So this will be very interesting to track next year because we know COVID really posed some challenges on supply chains and movement of goods, whether it was just that the containers were not available for shipping or if there was any sort of problems, obviously with logistics due to COVID. So let's stay tuned and see what the numbers look like next year in regards to this sort of flow. Now we're going to turn the corner away from the organic market report, and we just completed our data collection for the national statistics on organic operators and organic acreage. So this is a project that CODA volunteers to do on behalf of the sector every year, where we aim to not only quantify, of course, the organic marketplace, but we actually boil it down into how many new producers are coming into the system, new processors. So this project would not be possible at all without all of the organic certification bodies who are either CORE accredited, so Canada Organic Regime accredited, or accredited to the BC Organic Regulation or the Quebec Organic Regulation. So we have worked for many years now with these wonderful certification bodies who voluntarily provide their data. But I will have one disclaimer is that we had one certification body for the last several years that has chosen to not participate. So we had to do an estimation on their volumes for the national statistics. And we hope that TCO CERT will choose to participate in the future. So moving on, this quick facts sheet, we're going to put a link to where you can download it so that you've got it at your fingertips. It's available on our Shopify store for free, but I'm going to get into some of the statistics for you. So excitingly, we have seen a growth on the overall operations getting certified in the country. It seems like a meager growth rate, but it is a 1.9% growth rate since we did this project in 2019. And so we are currently at 7,624 operators in the country. And we like to break it down just to get a sense of where are those producers and processors and livestock operators living and where are we seeing growth. So every year when we do this presentation, it's always Quebec. Quebec has got the most. But it's important for us to look at where we're seeing growth still within those provinces. So I've broken it out that Quebec has had an 11.9% growth in overall operators, followed by Alberta at 5.2, and Ontario at 5.2, and New Brunswick. So it's nice to see that we've got growth happening, but the question is, where's the growth coming from? Is it on the farm side? Is it on the processor side? Is it on the livestock? So just the next couple slides, I'm going to break it down into where we're seeing that success. And just to kind of give you a quick snapshot, we are seeing more acreage coming under organic conversion. So it's been a 17% increase in since we did the exercise in 2019. We're now over 4 million certified acres in Canada. And we've had over 2,000 new producers join since in the last 5 years into organic production. So that's a significant volume. And We also have 854 acres that have converted just in the last 3 years to organic, and 154 acres of maple bush have been certified since 2017. And not to forget the manufacturers, we have 280 new companies that are manufacturing and switched over to organic production in the last 5 years. So everything I'm saying just sounds so wonderful, but let's take a deeper peek and see where is it that we've seen most of the growth coming out that is solidifying this 1.9% growth rate. We have currently now 5,972 growers or producers in the country, and 304 of them are new just in the last year. So this is really the big growth category that we're seeing more and more producers come into the system and certify their land or their garden or their overall production space. So that's our hugest growth rate that we've got in all the 3 categories between manufacturers and livestock operators. This number does not include livestock operators, is also another disclaimer. So 5.4% increase in the last year. And you can see that, Quebec, of course, leads again on the certified producers, but again, followed by Ontario. Well, actually, Saskatchewan's next, then Ontario, then we get into Alberta and then British Columbia. So, and I really get excited about this because when we first started working together, there wasn't that many certified entities in the territories, but we now have 8 producers certified in the Northwest Territories and the Yukon. And the organic processors by province, this is a minimal increase, but it's 1.1% increase since last year. And the growth provinces, you can see our British Columbia at 19% growth on the manufacturing side, Alberta 3%, Quebec 11.3%, and Nova Scotia at 17.4%. So something's going right there, which is exciting to see. And just to highlight that we've got 3 companies now certified in the territories that were not there in past year statistics. And you can get a sense too of how large Quebec is on leading on the manufacturing side, again, as number 1. And then the livestock producers. So unfortunately, we have seen a decrease in the amount of livestock, certified livestock producers, which is interesting because we did see a growth on the sales consumption side, but we're seeing a decrease in regards to production or who's being certified. So the provinces that were in a growth situation were British Columbia at 5.6%, Alberta at 3.5%, and then Quebec at 2.5%. And if I haven't mentioned the provinces as growth provinces, it means that they've had a decline in those categories. So it's really interesting. We're going to be doing regional reports for most of the provinces, so stay tuned. We will get into a lot more details in regards to all the sales and consumer statistics, as well as these producer statistics, which are super important for everybody to kind of get a regional perspective on what's happening in your region. And I'm going to make sure that you have our contact details because we have lots of data. And so if there is a need that you have, you can get in touch with us. We do commissioned reports to kind of delve in and kind of look at the details. But I would say at a macro level, you've got everything you need in the master report that we've just released. And but please get in touch if there's anything that you think would be interesting also to include in a future report. We'll see what we can do since we have 2 more years worth of funding in order to secure that. And just to highlight that that funding is only at a certain level. And of course, we need to fundraise the rest. So if you're interested in working with us on data solutions and coming together, we do welcome that support. And so I will end off here just reminding you that we'd love for everybody to come together again at any of our future webinars and that you can register. I think we've already put the link in the chat box, but just